GM, Hot Takes, Cold Wallets, episode 12. Hey everybody, today we got a mix of OG NFT communities and real onboarding, real users, real product, plus the guys of Chain Patrol. Nikita Juan at the venue at ETH Denver right now. Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, things are going great. The energy here is good. Don't believe everything you see online, is that what I would say. There's been a bit of doom posting here and there, but there's a lot of great people on the floor. We're meeting a ton of people, building actively. There's some of the noise has been kind of removed from the space, and I would say a lot of true core believers here that are building lots of interesting things in crypto. And so while we might not be at all-time highs or anything else like that, things are going well. There's people building, and the future of this industry is really bright.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, we know how the market is. We don't need to speak about that. But we're actually meeting a lot of good partners, a lot of clients, a lot of projects actually building, as Nikita mentioned. If you see like side events happening right now, there are probably like 10 happening at the same time. So definitely this is still packed, still a lot of people. Denver is cold, so trying to navigate through the winter here. But yeah, so far we are really enjoying the experience over here.
We also got a guest today. And it's Jeremy Knows of the VeeFriends community and concierge. Jeremy, tell us something about that. How come that?
Well, that's a good question. When I first got hired, VeeFriends had mainly like kind of carved out a position for me because I was making my own independent content about VeeFriends for about 18 months. And I have a background in theater, live art, communication. So I originally came on as a character performer to do storytelling and voiceover and animations and stuff like this. And naturally, I just kind of went through the ringer, getting tossed around to different teams, figuring out where I fit best. And community was the obvious role. But we also have a constant onboarding effort going. Like we're just always on when it comes to going deep with collectors who are maybe either getting their first NFT or picking up a card or a comic or whatever. And we like to be able to offer those one-on-ones. So when people schedule that, they usually see me, and the kind of catch-all term for that is concierge. So that's really just like a fraction of what I do, but community and concierge, it kind of, it rolls off the tongue. It's easy enough to understand, I think.
Yeah, well,
go ahead, Nika.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, when so many people coming in, to the space, they need a good first experience, right? Like lots of people coming into the space, yes. They're often like very confused, unclear on like where to really go, like what to really do about this whole space of like NFTs and crypto and all this other stuff. So like, I think it's very important that you're kind of bringing them into like a smooth, like nice experience into the space.
Yeah, and it's a cliche for a reason that they say you only get one first impression. I can't cite the study, but I remember seeing a study about how something like 60 or 70% of a person's perception of a brand or any concept or thing roots back in their first experience, which makes a ton of sense, right? Like if, I don't know, you can throw out any example. If you try escargot at a restaurant and it was made badly and you hate it, that's going to stick with you. And even if a second time it's better, you're still going to be like, okay, yeah, well, they made it good, but I'm like grounded in this original thing. And that's why, yeah, being personable in a space that is so intangible, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, definitely. And just talking, maybe not a first experience, but that's a big part of also why we're building Chain Patrol is that if you get drained or something happens and related to a brand, scammer reaches out impersonating the brand, that can also cause like the reverse effect of having a lot of damage on the end user. And so yeah, I think it's really like community building. You want to build up the community and then you want to protect them as well, right? And I see a lot of times part of community management is also like how do you go in and protect the Discord, protect, the Telegrams and so on, make sure the users are having a safe, good experience. So yeah, I'm sure you and like other team members there are like putting in a lot of effort there.
Yeah, there's so many important parallels in what you just said. I mean, number one, I think globally, whether we're talking about onboarding, or we're talking about crypto, or we're talking about just career growth, like a happy life, like education is the most valuable thing the world has ever known. Like everything about anything that the humans have accomplished is because we built it on the knowledge and experience of prior generations, right? We pass down knowledge through books and films and art and all of these things. And those are the tools that yeah, can protect us. And then, like, in another way, if we were going to create this wonderful on-chain experience, we have to build the sandbox where it's safe. Like, I also come from the theater world, and so I've seen a lot of situations where people are just like scared to death to stand in front of an audience. And I think famously, like, public speaking is like the third largest fear globally among humans. And we can say objectively that fear is unwarranted because, like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? But the fact is, like, it still is the case. And in order to get people to actually express themselves publicly, and this is part of the work that I've done in theater, is you have to make it safe. And so you can't actually play and enjoy yourself fully unless you have a degree of certainty of your safety. And I think it ties directly into what you guys are doing. You can't go all in on chain unless you've got a chain patrol telling you that, the bad actors are elsewhere.
Before we dive deep into community, guys, I wanted to catch up on the ETH Denver stuff first, and putting yourself out in public, Juan. I think you just did that. You hosted a panel about multi-chain dApps and consumer products, if I'm not mistaken. So was there anything interesting you took away from this panel, or what would you say is the vibe in generally speaking in 2026 compared to years before?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely I see a lot of teams actively building products for the new era of crypto. And I would say, like, all of them are like thinking about like chain abstraction, how we can do more things on that aim. Also things, for example, on like, is a wallet wants to embed like more features, for example, to try like to offer Shield natively on them. Are like also like Shield protocols trying to embed wallet features themselves. We have seen also like a lot of brands right now launching debit cards for the users. Patchy Penguins that did like an announcement last week. So definitely there is a lot of things happening on the apps and consumer products development on crypto. We see a lot of brands and a lot of partners that we know that are actively doing into this. Stable coins is like a really big place where we see a lot of improvements and a lot of updates and upgrades being happening all the time. And yeah, definitely here in ETH Denver, there are a lot of teams also launching their own projects and their own protocols. We have seen some booth with new companies that we haven't heard about in the past that are actually launching ETH Denver, and a lot of like different protocols projects have been here for a couple of years, launching like new improvements to their own thing. So yeah, definitely I will say we see news being released here as we see with all the major conferences. And yeah, I think I mentioned at the beginning, you may be seeing like a lot of tweets putting not good words about ETH Denver, but we definitely see really interesting things happening here.
Yeah, Nikita, we talked about like the security side of things when it comes to conferences, like the in-person events, and we talked about like the security placements that you can do, and don't bring your wallets, don't bring your hardware wallets, leave your stuff at home. Do you think that, or do you see like any rising amounts of phishing attempts with QR codes, etc. at these conferences, or would you say it's like a stable level, or are people in general more cautious nowadays?
Yeah, I think QR codes people are a bit more, more cautious with. We still see people trying to do this, just pasting them up on the walls and this kind of stuff. Everybody still uses QR codes at the end of their presentations too, which kind of sends a very mixed message. Like it was funny. I was literally at a security conference yesterday, and like half the people are like, "Don't scan random QR codes," and then the talk has a QR code at the end, and everybody pulls out their phones to scan it. So it was that was a pretty funny moment. So yeah, that's definitely something to be careful with. The thing that we're seeing actually a lot more around these conferences is actually impersonations of side events. You just get like everybody like is so FOMO'd on side events. They want to register for all of them, make sure that they have all the, they don't miss out on like a really good event. And so you get a lot of these invites now coming in, right? Like the proactively, a lot of these orgs are, sending out invites to people to make sure they get filled up, and scammers are taking advantage of this, whether it's impersonating, some promo from the main event, but very often they just make fake side events. I haven't seen Luma being abused as much yet. There's been a few fake events on Luma, but also I've seen a lot of fake Eventbrite ones coming up. Like very often you'll get like somebody will create a fake event on Eventbrite. They'll put like a phishing link in there. You go in there, it says like, oh, sign up this event. Oh, by the way, to like really get in, you need to do this like second step of sign up. It's done on our website. This is like many companies have done this. So it's like not to the user, it's not like something completely out of the ordinary. But you go there and it's actually, malware, a phishing link, or they steal your password or something else like that. So yeah, fake side events is something to watch out for. And then just like promos related to these events. That's definitely something that we're seeing.
So we could conclude, I guess, that where the attention goes, the attackers will follow. This is like
Exactly.
side events are hot. Everyone is just pivoting to side events and trying to scam people there, so to say. And the attention, Jeremy, was definitely on VFriends with the Super Stickers launch for the Spectacular series that you guys launched yesterday. So I think you launched the stickers in general 3 years ago. And yesterday was the release of the new series. So tell us something about it. What are these Spectacular Super Series stickers?
Yeah, so if you've ever seen like quarter 50-cent vending machine stickers, where they were like very popular in the 80s and 90s, this is kind of like a resurgence of that. I have a box here. This is the second box product we made. When we released them 3 years ago, we just handed them out for free at the National Sports Collectors Convention, which is like the global, it's like the Super Bowl of sports cards. And over time, it's accumulated Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, and we've been there year over year. And they were super popular. I mean, even the common ones sell for $30-$40, like some rare ones selling for like 500 even back then. And now those are the legacy of the first super stickers. This one is an homage to our Spectacular rarity. That's why it's called the Spectacular series, because the one-of-ones in our NFT collections are spectacular. They can be gold, hologram, diamond, and so forth. So they look really sick. Like this is what the NFT looks like. Like this is the adaptable alien, the lava adaptable alien in series 2 looks like this. This is what the base looks like. And then we have like, I was ripping some. I was actually tempted to just rip some during the show, but like, gold on gold, for example, this is the second super sticker product we put out, but probably the 5th or 6th like card box product. And, we just have a lot of fun with Yeah. We have an homage to the original Gary artwork. This is 5 year. And so it's just another way to collect the characters. It's an onboarding mechanism for us. We believe like very firmly that storytelling is the medium to make people fall in love with IPs. And, IP on chain is an incredible lifelong race, but like there's a lot of roots being set now, and a lot of like, it's almost a land grab in like from a real estate perspective for these early IPs to really create meaningful businesses and collector bases. So like every single box comes with one of these, which is a comic book related insert. There's 9 of these to collect with a couple rarities. So we're just doing the same thing one day at a time, products that people can enjoy, fall in love with the characters, and ultimately route back to our first collectibles, which are the NFTs.
Yeah, I think you guys are still like putting in the work for especially the people who are into collectibles and stuff like that. Like you rarely see any project going to that amount of extent to put in the work and put out stuff that the community still enjoys. And while doing that, you still onboard new people. You also have these sweepstakes scratch-off tickets, right? So these are...
So every product we do will tie back to the NFTs in some way. Like all those Spectacular NFT holders I mentioned, they all got like these boxes I have in front of me. I got because I have Spectacular NFTs. What you're talking about is this card, which is in 1 in every 6 packs. And the artwork features different actual Series 2 NFTs that we own that you can win in a sweepstakes. So Yeah, it just has a little scratch off. You go to our website and you enter, and then we'll select winners in October. I think you have to have your codes in by October 1st. So that's 15 Series 2 NFTs. I mean, right now they're maybe around like $1,500 or something like that. But that's a big prize for somebody opening a $10 pack, even if it's a long shot, you know. And it's fun. It like we're very all in on the phygital of all of this.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to me how, you know, a lot of the places that are, I think, doing like very successfully in the NFT space are really the phygital ones, right? Like, I think there was like a point in time where everybody was like, oh no, it's all about the digital on-chain NFTs, and like phygital was more in kind of like it was like in the side area, but now we see that like most of the places that are doing well, you know, platforms like Courtyard and others as well, you know, they're really all about the phygital aspect. So it's, you know, I think that is the way to go.
Yeah, well, on one hand, you have to meet people where they are, right? Like, people are much more accustomed to the alternative investment collecting of physical products than digital still. You know, like, what is NFTs? It's like a 0.02% of all crypto's market cap. Like, we're still so early in the inevitable transition. The same way that all media went for physical digital, we're just seeing the earliest phases of that. And obviously that takes a certain amount of belief in the technology. You know, I think there's still a lot of people who have yet to have an aha moment to really have conviction in this. And that's okay. You know, we're pioneers, and we like it that way.
Yeah. Jeremy, when it comes to scams, or when it comes to scammers, like, I'm more of the digital wallet security side of things, but I can imagine that you guys are facing issues with scammers with phygital projects as well. Did you have any issues with that? Are there any, I don't know, people selling boxes they don't have or they don't possess, or is there anything that you gotta be fighting against right now?
It's a good question. Anytime there's capital to be had, bad actors will find a way in. What we've seen mostly is the three-party group chat attack, the social engineering, where somebody reaches out and they want to buy a physical item you have, and they ask you for who's a trusted party they can bring in to broker this, and then they'll create an imposter of that person you made, and you don't realize you're actually talking to the same person on two different accounts, socially engineering you. And there are some bad behaviors that come up on marketplaces like eBay and other things, whether that's just like misleading listings. Like, I've seen several listings that, you know, yes, people can tamper with boxes, right? Like, they can suggest it's one thing when it's like, this happened to me, actually. I went to buy a pack that was autographed, and I bought it at like the price of a sealed pack. And when I got it in the mail, it didn't have any cards in it. And I was like, wait, like, that's just so wrong. But like, for me, for the community, we try to educate. For me, I'm like, that's just bad karma for you. Like, yes, I burned $30, but like, you burned your reputation, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if you can build some like ethos or something into one of these into the marketplace as well.
Well, that's, you know, credit to Ethos. That's one of the things that is much harder in a Web2 platform, because I can spin up 1,000 anonymous accounts and leave positive reviews on a bad channel. But I can, but it's like, it's a different level to do that with wallets and Twitter accounts and have them be invited and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, the hobby does need that, and they do rely on that in a word of mouth community sense. Like, one thing we do have in our Discord, we have a reputation channel. So if something bad happens, you can report it there. And if you're doing a deal with someone you haven't done with before, very frequently, like once a week, I'll get a ping of like, hey, you know, I'm doing a deal with so-and-so, and then a big tag of people they've done deals with. Can you vouch for me? And of course, the community comes in. Yeah, great guy, you know.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's not infrastructure for that quite, except for just, you know, shared knowledge in the community.
This is also a strong indicator for the VFriends community. I think when I bought my Series 2 NFT, I was like, hey, I'm back in 2021. I felt so welcomed, and even Gary, like, he retweeted my tweet. This was like, to me, it was like a fever dream back in the day. But I felt the energy that you had in 2021, 2022 in NFT communities where everything was just buzzing. And I think that the VFriends community especially, you kind of condense that in your tiny cave, which is a very good thing because you trust each other, you have a good spirit in there. Of course, bad actors appear here and there, always, everywhere. But in essence, the community is very strong, I think. And it also shows on X and other platforms where the socials like lead it. With your community members.
Yeah, this is the like beautiful double-edged sort of building in Web3 is like it's the fastest way to create a highly dense, like passionate community. And it's always fascinating to me not knowing how many of them are not active or tapped in. Like I'll get a message in like 6-month windows is like, hey, I haven't been paying attention. Where can I catch up on everything? And then we do have those people that are just in Discord all day long, reply to every tweet. And of course, Gary has a special superpower to bring those people out of the woodwork. Be like, hey, welcome this person. And suddenly there's 500 people replying to your message instead of like the typical 15 or so. Yeah, those dynamics are really fun. And frankly, like it's a testament not only to the quality of the people, like I think because VFriends is built around positive attributes, we attract collectors who want to see those things more prominent in culture, whether that's compassion or grit or ambition or whatever. But it's also a testament to Gary and the fact that what is the VFriends community now is largely a derivative of the Gary V community, which he built over 20, 25 years. So it's not like, even though VFriends is a new IP, only 5 years old, the roots of the community have been building for 20 plus.
Yeah, and this is something I wanted to touch about as well. Like VFriends is almost turning 5. I think in May we're gonna be 5 years old, and the onboarding that VFriends did, like back in 2021, back in 2022, Nikita, Juan, maybe you can chime in on that as well. A lot of the people that you met in Web3 or crypto, they were telling you like, hey, I was onboarded because of Gary V or the VFriends or his podcast. He brought a lot of people into the mix, at least made them interested in the tech, which is a very good thing, and which was a very good driver. And you guys at VFriends, you had like the onboarding with a lot of the people who aren't crypto native, who were then quote unquote forced to come into crypto and do the stuff on chain. So lately you introduced the VFriends wallet. This is something for you, I guess, Nikita. This is a preview wallet basically. And it's just a social login. It's non-custodial, even though you don't own the keys. You have like a split shards of the keys across multiple devices and stuff like that. Nikita, do you think that friction is sometimes protective? Like, does convenience increase the risk exposure?
I mean, for sure. You know, like I think you know, many people don't entirely realize, like, I think there's a ton of benefits to self-custody, but like if you're moving into the area of self-custody, and like I really wish everybody could have self-custody. Like I think there's a lot of benefits to, you know, really being in full control of your own funds. But that's essentially like going in many ways like back to like the Wild West of like, you know, you keep all your gold on the, you know, in your house, you keep your coins or whatever cash you have. And like, you know, if there's like, you know, there's like roaming groups of bandits, you know, that just come by and like, and can just steal all your funds. Right. And then now you're and then, you know, that's why all the, you know, people back then would like, everybody would own a gun, and so they can protect themselves, and because they have to take it into their own, you know, into their own hands, right? Nobody was like, oh, I'm gonna keep all my cash in my house and then like also not take precautions to protect myself, because that would just be irresponsible. But I think now everybody's become so used to a lot of these systems protecting us, like, you know, with a bank, you just have something as basic as withdrawal limits, right? So even if like somebody does steal your credit card, you know, there's a limit on how much funds they can kind of abuse there. Whereas if they steal your seed phrase, everything is gone, right? And so I think that's something that, you know, even if you can hear it and listen to it and be like nod and acknowledge it, it doesn't like really fully like sink into people's like very like being. And that's something that you need to like repeatedly think about and have something told to you over and over again until you realize that, you know, if you like, self custody brings tons of benefits, but it also means you need to be fully responsible for protecting yourself. Yeah, that's just like that's like, it puts a lot of responsibility on the person. It lets you trade faster. It really removes a lot of those barriers. Gives you lots of control, but it also puts you very heavily, it's on you to keep yourself safe. The wallets and others are doing many things to improve this, but it is on the person anyways.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I would be thinking about, Jeremy, do you have like, I think you probably don't have like any clear numbers for us, but you wouldn't have introduced the VFriends wallet if everyone was just going to the extent and saying like, hey, I'm going to spin up a MetaMask, I'm going to create a seed phrase, I'm going to keep the seed phrase, blah, blah, blah. So you did this for a reason, did this for a purpose. How many users would you say wouldn't touch like a Web3 or a crypto account with the VFriends wallet, like without having the option to do so?
That's an interesting way to phrase the question. It's kind of impossible for me to know that, because when we did concierge before the VFriends wallet, it just meant 30 minutes where 20 of those minutes were stepping through, adding the browser extension, explaining the new level of responsibility, self-custody, answering blockchain questions. And then we got to the fun part, which is like, which VFriend do you want to get? Now it's 3 minutes. It's like, go to vfriends.com and sign up. And now we have the bulk of the meeting to talk about what they really are interested in. When we talk about kind of wallet abstraction, it's mainly a way to make it easier for people to behave the way they want to like get the thing that they want, and Web3 has dealt with this high degree of friction since the beginning. But I really appreciated what Nikita said, because, what we say to our community frequently is like, VFriends wallet is a starter wallet, because you can export the keys and you can use it in a self-custody way. But in order to do that, you need a wallet software. You need to import it into a MetaMask or a Rabby or what have you. And so in that sense, like, I don't know. I can tell you that there are thousands and thousands of people that have signed up for a wallet because it's so much easier. Don't know how many people didn't. Well, actually, here's an interesting figure that is useful. In the last, and let me make sure I'm not pulling this out of my ass, but I'm going to say roughly, until I can verify, in the last 180 days, there's been probably 700 people, or 700 wallets that have got their first VFriend since we launched the Privy wallet.
That's
so
great.
So there's some cross section there. There's definitely a lot of people, like when you take our VFriends quiz, if you go to vfriends.com/quiz and find out what VFriend you are, in order to see the results, you need a VFriends account, and that automatically generates you a wallet, which is also a really great onboarding. And it's one of the things that boosts our wallet numbers. But really, that's still, we can say it's not quite the top of the funnel, but it really is quite close to the top. It's getting into the collectibles and building a relationship with the characters based on the stories that brings them further down, interested in the series 2, interested in the series 1, and in all the different things that we produce. So
I think it's quite intimidating, right? If you're just in it for the sake of the collectibles, and you find out about VFriends for the first time, you do a quiz, and then you have to like install a wallet extension, write down a seed phrase, load down some Ethereum on your wallet. It's like, well, what the hell have I signed up to right here? So probably, I think you eliminated a lot of friction. And as you said, if you treat this like as a starter wallet, I think it's a great way to do so, Nikita, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And what I've seen, the interesting thing with like Privy and these others now is like, one concern I had in the past was like, are you going to have all these like isolated wallets and different apps, and then like you lose a lot out on a lot of the the interoperability benefits? But they've actually unified all of this in the background now, so that if you have this wallet and you start off in VFriends, but then you actually went and signed up with the same email, let's say on, another crypto app, they actually unify your wallet so that, all of those assets are in the same place. And that's also a really interesting flow, because then like you are removing any kind of issues of having like a bunch of separate wallets and different apps. And then if you do want to, like, over time, you become more of a power user, you can even like export all of that into, a self-custodial wallet if you want, or you can just keep it there and continue using it as normal and start entering into like DeFi and like other areas with the assets that you already have all in one place. So yeah, I think definitely a win for onboarding.
Yeah, actually, I just want to mention that all these that we are mentioning makes me remember when actually was onboarding into crypto, like in 2019, that I have seen actually like a lot of things like Coinbase, where that part, I think Binance also launched in that year. But a good way to engage with communities and engage with all the stuff that I wanted was actually using hot wallets or decentralized wallets, however we want to call this. And I had like the need to create like I would say a MetaMask, Trust Wallet, all the different ones that were in this moment. So when that happened, actually, you are pushed to learn. You are pushed to understand which are like the different benefits of the self-custodial wallet and everything that you can do. But the best way is just to not to know about that and like to find out after when you have the need. And I think UIB friends are like doing exactly that, because users don't come to you for the crypto side of things. They may be going to you because they are interested on the collection side of things. And then whenever they want to do more things, whenever they want to have like different features that they can do with the wallet right now that you have in the website, they need to go outside that box. And I think that's like one of the best ways to get on board, because you can understand like really different how like an exchange wallet or how a wallet like from VFriends work than a completely decentralized wallet, like a Trust wallet, like a MetaMask wallet, all the ones that are here right now, and also like going things through Ledger and Trezor as well. So it's really good that these things happen and these things are still here, because it's a much better way to understand like the risk that you have on the part of the self-custodial wallets. Like, you can't make breaches. You can lose money if you like do weird things on DeFi, and that's nothing that you can do with in an exchange wallet or in a wallet like in VFriends.
It's interesting. It's interesting that we can have this conversation, and we are as a bit nerds, I would say, in this space. Nikita, Jerry, maybe before you guys as builders, or as I know you're passionate about building stuff, do we actually remove complexity with these, or are we just trying to hide it?
Can you ask that in a different way? Because like the
with building solutions like the Preview Wallet, are we making the space more accessible, or are we just trying to hide the complexity of the space?
Well, I think I would ask you, like, do you know what's the difference between HTTP and HTTPS?
Yes.
So like what does it matter, right? Like people want meaningful, impactful experiences. And think about going and seeing a blockbuster film. Mm-hmm. You don't, and let's say specifically a Pixar film. You don't need to know a damn thing about how you keyframe and build all of the points of reference on a model so that like a character can just wave their hand. Like, think about the artwork that DK Motion does and seeing some of the behind the scenes of like how complex. But like, while that adds an additional experience, and like there's more satisfaction and fulfillment for us knowing a bit of like how the sausage is made, and like more about maybe depending on your knowledge what a nonce is, and like how to find the transaction hash. These things matter, but like I don't need to know how an animator does their work to enjoy an animation. So I think the answer is no.
Nikita,
yeah, I would agree on that. Just like I think there are also like complexities with even like these older systems that I think are actually somewhat becoming better in crypto in some ways. For example, like Um, with wallets, like one thing I like is it's kind of like an identity of myself that I can go anywhere or anywhere on the internet with and just connect, and they already can tell certain details about myself. There's obviously like other wallets I use for privacy and other stuff like that, but the main wallet, I kind of find it refreshing that I can like move around and just connect my wallet. I have my ENS on there. I have some other details on there. They can infer some stuff from like transaction history. And the one thing I would say is that like there are benefits to one, like using some of these like wallet like in the background services, but actually even like the self-custodial wallets, like the extension ones, they actually open up some interesting benefits as well, because it's kind of like an identity you carry with you, and like you have your passport on you. And when you connect to a site, it actually already like login with Ethereum, I think has been great. I'm actually sad it's not like more implemented, because honestly, like in many places, like it's just like, oh, you connect, your wallet, it knows who you are, it knows a bunch of details about you. Like if you have certain NFTs or other areas that like are highlighted as part of your digital identity, you can bring that up. To an end user, maybe it's not that different than connecting with Google, but actually in some ways, there are benefits of like what you can share proactively about yourself. So I've seen some like quite nice experiences on that I don't think I think not enough people have thought about like what is the benefit of like, okay, we've passed this hurdle of getting the person to install the extension. There's actually a lot of benefits that come after that. And I would be interested to see if like these get built into browsers even eventually as well, where you can carry a piece of your identity in the browser itself. That I think would also be a big kind of leap forward as well. So I think it's like, we are making things simpler, but also I think the goal shouldn't be to just make this the exact same, like we're just trying to replicate what OAuth and like existing login systems look like, right? Like I think by letting the user own their identity, you can actually make experiences that are even better than what existed. But that's going to require some work.
Yeah, I asked the question for a specific reason, because like 4 weeks ago or something, I did a thread about this whole security thing, and I framed it and said like we are trying to make the user build a engine to drive a car that they just want to get from A to B. And therefore I asked the question like, do we make it more complex, or do we want to actually like make it more simple for people to get onboarded? Because it feels at times you need like a cybersecurity degree to even to do something safely in this space, and this cannot be the premise if we want to onboard people safely to Web3 and have the masses quote unquote onboarded,
I like that as a metaphor, because so many people have cars. It's very, very, very common now. But like, while we can maybe agree everybody should know how to change their oil, like most people don't know how to like actually do like a tune-up, or like they go to a mechanic, right? Like they find an expert. But there is like that whatever that compliment for wallet is, like knowing how to change your oil, knowing how to like store your seed phrases and like do the basic stuff. That is something that we should require of people, as we're like, if you're involved with bringing someone fully on chain, it is your obligation to onboard them in a way that is going to give them the best shot at not like ending up scammed, basically.
Yeah. And from a security side of things, I think that we should highlight here that you need to be very secure with your social logins. Obviously, if you're using like a social wallet, if you're using an email to log into your email account and into your wallet account, then you should have your password protected. You should have 2FA on. You should have strong 2FA, not only use SMS, but an app or an authenticator or a YubiKey or whatever to prevent your stuff from getting stolen.
Yes.
Okay, so we're moving to the part of community building, and Jeremy just teased on education and prevention. So with you guys at the OG status of an NFT collection, I'm pretty sure you guys feel very motivated. As you said, you are doing the concierge to onboard people, to have them ask questions about things that they might need to know before they get onboarded. What is like the most common stuff that you see people maybe not get scammed by, but like they are facing some kind of attacks, suspicious links or Twitter DMs, or what kind of things do you hear like on a daily basis, Jeremy?
As far as attack vectors, it's almost exclusively imposters. Like that is just the biggest one of getting approached in DMs presenting to be a staff member. There are other vectors, but for the most part, that and airdrops that are, you know, in the same way, instead of presenting to be a staff member, presenting to be an official NFT, I would say those are the big ones.
Yeah, that's a lot of really like what targets communities mostly, right? It's like they want to abuse the trust that, you know, you built out. And honestly, what we're seeing is that like pretty much everywhere that there's a big brand, there will be impersonation happening, right? Just because it's a very straightforward approach. Like you know, the team has spent the time to build the trust, the reputation. And for attackers, it's very easy to just say like, hey, like I'm Jeremy, or like I'm Gary, and you know, I'm reaching out to you. Like there's a great opportunity here.
Yes.
You know, you've won the sweepstakes or whatever, and or they're a little bit more, you know, even more like you know, specific than that. Like I think the interesting thing too is like before it was like a lot of copy pasted templates, right, that they would use. It really depends on if like how sophisticated the attackers are. Sometimes it's an individual being very careful to approach you. There's also like organizations where they have like hundreds of people like in scam centers, and they're just using templates, reaching out to everybody en masse. But now also with like AI advancing, now a lot of them are hooking up, you know, like bots and, you know, these LLM models to this stuff as well. And with that, they can spend, it's easier for them to do some research on you as well. They can see who are you following on Twitter, who are you connected with on LinkedIn and other places, and they can map out more of your own kind of who you are as a person to make those DMs much more believable, and see like who in your, like who can they mention that you might also know loosely to build that little bit of extra trust. And they both use that in both like LLMs messaging you, but also just like individual. Sometimes it's just individuals still being the ones that are targeting you, but they're using that extra research to just make that connection to you more believable.
Yeah, not to mention some of these will go on for months. Like there's plenty of scammers that will like look at the couple days and like, hey, I want to do a deal. Like, oh, you know, I'm really who I say I am, and then they get found out. There are other people that they won't ask anything for
They build trust,
weeks, and they build so much trust, and it's devastating. It's devastating that there are people out there that, you know, it takes a certain degree of like wherewithal and persistence and talent to do something like that. And if only they could apply it to themselves, like I can only imagine that there is some other potential that is being.
Yeah, the amount of good people could do, you know, like some of these attackers are like very motivated and like very sophisticated, you know, like they are very smart about what they do. Like they could do a lot of good for the world.
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Jeremy, what's one security behavior that you wish you could give any NFT holder, especially in your community?
Well, hypocritically, I want to say YubiKey, because I don't use a YubiKey, but I know that it's like the best form. Mm-hmm. On like the simple, easy to grab, I would say like switch all your SMS to Authenticator. Like that's really done a lot for me. I recently actually switched to OnePass. I don't know if you guys have a particular opinion of it, but I switched to it so that I could give my OpenClaw access to certain API keys without having them exposed, and I find it to be pretty useful. Like now I'm starting to use it for my own stuff, and it's nice to have that available without needing to like track it on a spreadsheet or otherwise. But probably Authenticator apps. Like just set up your 2FA. Like it's not that hard. Just do it. Download the app and do it.
Yeah, I think definitely 2FA, YubiKeys if you can. Honestly, sometimes the YubiKeys are actually even easier than doing 2FA properly, just because like it's directly attached to your computer. You don't need to like, if you're away from, I mean, most people are usually not away from their phone, but in more rare cases, like you can sometimes even have it more available than a 2FA app. You can also keep multiple copies of it too. So like, I think one danger with 2FA as well is just like a lot of people will typically have it just on their phone, and like I hope you've written out all your backup codes, but if you haven't, you drop your phone in some water and you're really screwed at that point. YubiKeys, it's kind of you can have a
that's
bunch
totally
of
my blind spot, because like yes, I put those backup codes somewhere, but really what I need to do now that I'm using OnePass is put those backup codes in OnePass. But
yeah.
That's pretty secure, right? Like OnePass is pretty battle tested. We don't have
It's definitely one of the better ones out there that has survived a lot of attempts at attackers. The other thing I would say too is that sorry, we're talking about YubiKeys. I just want to talk about the OpenCloud thing for a second. The setup that you have. I think it's something that a lot of people are experimenting with right now. There's a lot of dangers with it because like a lot of people are just like pasting in their API keys in there, pasting in their passwords in there. And to make it useful, you kind of have to do this, right? You kind of need to give it access to different tools to make it able to use those tools, right? But what I think more people are doing is using this on isolated machines as much as possible, right? Because like that's really my recommendation, is that like these tools are amazing, use them, like you should use them. Like I'm not going to say like don't use them because it's a security risk, because that's like saying, I don't know, like don't use like
don't drive, you can die.
like
right.
But I think it's definitely like something that everybody's going to be picking up. Like our job is now like, how do we just guide people on the most secure way of setting this up? And the main thing really would be to create like an isolated machine, whether that's like buying a separate Mac Mini for this. There's also lots of services now, like even like a few months ago you'd have to set up your own like VM on like Vultr or like one of DigitalOcean or one of these other things, but that's already much better, just because like you need to think about like when this thing goes haywire, like what is the blast radius of things going horribly wrong, and then if it's on your machine, well, it can download malware and basically everything else that's on your machine will be compromised, right? Whereas, because like that's one of the most basic things it can do is issue a curl request and download code. Like so, like putting it on your personal machine is quite a dangerous move, I would say.
I'd be curious because you know this world much better than I do. I have a Mac Mini that I had for personal stuff, but I didn't want to deal. Like I did a backup, but I didn't want to deal with. I have a lot of crypto wallets on there, so I didn't want to like re-back up everything and make sure I had it all. So I did a separate Mac user, and then like I also waited about 5 to 7 days for other people to go crazy about the security risk, and then just give it the tweets and be like, hey, add this to our security protocol. But I have like a CH mod that just locks my entire home directory. So
that's a good move.
If it downloads a malware on its user, is that isolated from my other user?
There are still ways it can potentially like have some impact there. Like I would need to honestly do a deeper look, but there is still, I would say, some danger there. The CH mod, like, okay, so one, just like, I guess few steps. One, the fact that you did this kind of like you've updated the permissions on the whole kind of folder definitely helps. So that was a smart move. Just to most users out there that probably haven't done that, just having separate users is not enough, right? Like,
exactly.
And so just as like a PSA, right? Like, Similar things on like Windows and other things, like, you know, you set up separate users, they can see most other things the other user sees, unless it's like in your personal directories, right? If it's in your personal directories, then there is like isolation there. But if it's you know, you put it in just like your main disk or whatever, then like everybody can see that.
Yes.
Setting up all the permissions there is quite difficult. I would say it's a good start. Like, that's the other thing I would say is like you kind of have to, like, security is built up in steps, you know, so it's like that is a good start. When possible, I would recommend like a separate device, or like the VM or the VM. Like, I think a lot of people go straight to buying the Mac Mini. Like, the VMs are not
I
that
hate
expensive.
the VM. I tried the VM. It was such a pain in the ass. Like, it just like I couldn't, because I couldn't do administrator installs. I couldn't even install Homebrew on my VM.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it depends on which ones you use. With Vultr, I've been able to do that. So like it depends which one you
I was
use.
using UTM, so maybe that
Interesting.
was
Okay. Yeah. And then the other thing too is like, the interesting too is like setting up the VM is actually not as complicated, because then remember, you still have Claude. So like what I actually did, and the you know, I was following like a guide that somebody else wrote, but basically Vultr and some of these other online tools for setting up VMs, they can actually be controlled through an API key. So like you can actually give Claude the key to set up the VM for you, then you just like revoke that API key later. And so like it actually sets up all of like the permission policies and everything else that you might not even know like how to do, because you're not a security, you know, you're not like I'm not a network security expert either. I know quite a bit, but like I haven't been in a, you know, an IT like specific like network security person for like 20 plus years, right? So but Claude knows a lot of that, and so like I've been like kind of just double checking its work and all of this, but it caught a lot of things that I might have not realized to do, and it actually goes and does them, because like setting up like a full proper VM could take like days, you know, like to do it well, but like this day Claude set it up within like an hour maybe.
It's unfortunate that we're getting to this now, because I am 2 minutes late for a meeting, and I could literally talk about this for the next several hours. I feel like
you gotta come back, Jeremy.
OpenClaw, in my mind, is the biggest pain in the ass that nobody actually needs to deal with, but they'll be happy they did when OpenAI makes it ready out of the box. And like, there's going to be a mobile app download of OpenClaw in 3 months or something, since they acquired it. I'm sure it'll be part of. It'll be much easier.
There's also a lot of startups doing this now too, where they actually like host it for you.
I really appreciate
Jeremy,
you guys having me and letting me talk about VeeFriends. I'd be happy to come back. You guys seem like really good dudes, and you're doing good work in the space, clearly protecting people. I'm sorry I have to be kind of abrupt, but
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.
Nikita, do we want to wrap with the last question for us three?
Yeah. I think we can wrap up there. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about the other day. I saw like a video on X, I think yesterday, where there was someone on Instagram promoting this OpenClaw thing, and he had like a bot on Telegram where he could just like pull the liquidity from a coin that he launched with AI like in 30 seconds from his phone, and he was able to just pull the liquidity for the coin and make like 10K or whatever in 30 seconds. And I just wanted to ask you two, like, if a rug pull is that easy now, basically, if we can just do it with one Telegram message, where are we heading? Like, is there so much more work ahead of us? Where are we heading? What's your outlook on this?
Yeah, I think it's going to become more and more difficult to tell. One, it's going to be easier to make rug pulls. Also, you know, before these rug pulls were a little maybe easier to like proactively identify. Some people have built tools around this, and you can do certain things, you know, like identify if like maybe there's a lot of concentration in a few wallets. Maybe there's something strange in the contract that like lets them kind of gives different like maybe like voting powers to different token holders and this kind of stuff. But now with AI, it's going to become a lot more easier to make realistic looking pools. Like, for example, it might just be able to, spin up like thousands of wallets and all of them put in some money, so it looks like you have real movement on the coin, right? It looks like very realistic. And while before this was mainly like the more sophisticated create volume and all this to make it look more realistic. Now, like, anybody could do this.
Yeah, that's my issue. Like, I think like the barrier has been lowered so far.
Yeah.
Before you had to have like some kind of coding skills. You had to have someone who has the knowledge inside of creating wallets and buffer wallets and whatnot. And now it's just like OpenCloud. I don't know if you can just like prompt it that way or if it's just like simplified. But generally speaking, like, you don't need to have any coding experience at all to pull this off.
And so I think what's going to happen there is you're going to need like these like kind of sniff tests that you would do before, like, oh, here's the like 3 things you can check to determine if it's, a scammy project or not. Like, that's not going to be enough anymore. Like, all the rug pulls are going to pass all those sniff tests basically. And even just like running a few heuristics or like a basic checker tool will not be enough. What I think it's going to come down to is more and more honest identity solutions and like allow listing solutions. This is, I think, going to be one of the important things, like understanding who are the founders of this project. Are they doxed? Do you know the details about them? Do they have a history of rug pulls or not? This kind of stuff. It's really going to be a lot about the identity of the founders, I think, or of like who the team behind the project. I mean, and really users just like really starting to rely on that more. Then again, like, there's people that go and do rug pull after rug pull and nobody seems to notice. We've seen there's a lot of bad actors that seem to get away with it like time and again, without even trying to do anything that complicated to like hide behind multiple identities. So, I mean, doing the research on the background of the person, I think, is going to be more important. And I think that people building tools that like help people understand it, like, is there like investment risk into a project, will have to start doing more and more analysis on just like the individual behind the project.
Yeah. What I would say from my end is that rug pulls have been becoming easier to do year by year. And we had like from the ICOs in 2017 where you need to also like do different structures. Then we had like, I don't know, in 2021, 2020, where it was like, if you knew how to use like the code, it was quite easy for scammers to do that. And then we have seen like a lot of scams and rug pulls happening on things like Pump.fund. That is also like a few clicks. If you know how to do that, it's pretty easy to do. So we have seen like an evolution of rug pulls. Might be interesting for our paper. But yeah, I agree with Nikita that one thing that was helpful if you were in the trenches at the time, if you want to see like where to invest or not, it was to run like different checks. Some people knows how to read smart contracts, and that was like a fast way. Then all these checkers came up, and then what we have right now is that even if these checkers went through, we can see like rug pull happening on the way. And I would say that even if founders are KYC'd correctly, this can also be like pretty easily faked. Companies offering like KYC certificates can be impersonated. Also, the documents that they release might be using like fake passports and so on. So all those different things are like pretty difficult to pretty easily to bypass right now with the tools that we have. So I would say it comes to doing like a lot of pre-marketing announcements, building that community trust among like different about like months. You can do this like in 1 week or a few weeks period of time. So if you have like the trust of the community when you're going to launch like a token and doing like those different things, that's the best way to know that you are doing that you are going to be investing in something that is not fake. And even so, you already have risk. None of this is risk free. So you need to be taking really take care of that attention when doing these kind of investments.
Yeah. I hope that if we if AI is used for attacks, we can use AI for defense as well. Hopefully, so hopefully it levels out. It levels out, kind of. Yeah, or we are smarter on the defense side of things, and we build better AI solutions or whatever it is. So it's not doomsday, and you guys will be staying on ETH Denver for a while. I think we're gonna catch up next week and talk a bit about what you experience at the venue. And for now, I would say this is a goodbye, international goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen in German.
Goodbye.
Well.
Bye bye.